Hey everyone, welcome back to the Feature Crew. We are now officially a month into the year of agents. We got a bunch of comments on our O3 test video asking for a comparison with DeepSeek R1, and we're also very interested to see those results. We've already run our standard tests on both of those models, so instead of just kind of repeating those results to you, we're going to try some new tests, kind of average across all of them, and figure out of the small, accessible reasoners, which one is best. Let's dive in. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that our first category is coding, and usually we're building some sort of simulation. Our favorite test is a procedurally generated planet. We're going to try something new today. We are going to have both models try to fulfill this long prompt for a city generator and simulation. So not only are they going to procedurally generate a city on a grid with sort of an organic road network, but they're also going to try to program in some simulation dynamics and have the simulation change over time. So we have a lot of features here. We're asking both models for a single HTML file that implements all of the requirements. And I think just at the top of the video here, we should mention that while we don't know the exact size and the exact inference costs for all of these models, just based on the API pricing, they're pretty comparable. DeepSeek should be a little cheaper than o3-mini, but if you look at the ArcAGI results for hard problems, DeepSeek R1 requires many more tokens, so they're comparable in price.
And just to be clear, o3-mini high is on the plus tier, not the pro tier. You're noticing like our prompts are getting much longer, much more in depth. The reason there is we want to be able to have the reasoners express how much like more different they are.
They both finished right around the same time, actually. The only difference was that the DeepSeek client was streaming in the code as it was written, and ChatGPT just dumped all the code in at once. But yeah, they took a very similar amount of time to run, and we will load up the results.
Yeah.
We're loading up first the o3-mini. Ooh, look at this. Okay, so we have interesting sort of city.
Wow.
We've got little cars driving around. Yep, there's a day-night cycle.
Population, economy is coming up. Simulation speed. Not bad at all.
Yeah, we can turn on the rain. Let's see. Okay. We got a little background effect for the... Oh, no! We're actually getting rain. Well, hard to see the rain. Oh, there it is.
Is it just very small? Whoa, the zoom in's pretty cool.
Do you see the rain? Okay, the controls are cool. Love seeing the cars running around.
Damn, if we do one more, I want to be able to rotate the camera. You know what I mean? Like imagine like going down to like street level, so we can iterate that. But I mean, look, it's done a really great first job actually. Yep. This is kind of almost like SimCity.
This is a little cartoony. Yeah. And I've seen it get more realistic, but we can also do that as a follow-up. I'll click regenerate to see what the sort of different potential city layouts are. It looks like it's really just like sort of grid packing here. And choosing a random height for the buildings. So, you know, I would love to see, you know,
give it one more prompt.
We'd love to give it one more prompt, but first let's check on what R1 did.
Oh no. Okay, let's right click, type error, camera position scene.
Let's give DeepSeek these errors, see if it can fix it. That was a little sad, honestly, disappointing that it couldn't do that first round there.
Bless that DeepSeek is working though.
Man, it's thinking. It does a lot of thinking tokens.
Looks like it's added initialization flags and stuff like that, which seems good.
Oh,
is there something? Oh, it's popping. I mean, we can see little red things popping in.
It's spawning cars, it seems. And they have interesting controls. Like we can actually do the zoom thing. They put in sort of map-like controls, but the city is missing, which is unfortunate.
Okay, let's check one more time if there's other errors. There aren't errors. Interesting.
We gave DeepSeek another try. It can't do it. We don't want to keep going down this rabbit hole of trying to get it to fix something it can't handle. So we're going to give it a simpler prompt, and then we're going to give O3 its follow-up prompt. And now, I mean, O3 has already sort of won this test, but we want to see where they can get, right? And we want to give DeepSeek a fair shake to show that it, because I know it can build this kind of thing. It just, we asked it to do too much. It can't handle it. So we've pared down the prompt. We're basically just telling it the high-level stuff of you're building a city generator that has a simulation going on inside of it.
Well, that's finishing. Let's go ahead and prompt this.
We're asking o3-mini to go ahead and, add that camera thing we were talking about, and then also just crank up the city itself. And in that time, while we were trying to figure out what to ask o3-mini to do, R1 came back, so we'll see its attempt at a slightly less prescriptive, easier city.
Yep. Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So, this is where I was able to get. Not as good camera controls as last time. But, it lost some of the simulation elements. I'm not seeing anything moving or changing.
Simulating the day-night cycle.
Day-night cycle.
You to do that.
We lost the cars.
But at least it's kind of got city-looking objects now, like skyscrapers and stuff. So very simplistic rendition, but good job for actually getting something to render without having to do that sort of thing. So, and at that time, o3-mini's come back. So let's go ahead and look at what it did. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. So it added some different building types and some different building shapes.
Yeah.
Street level mode is now available.
If you go to like into street, like it looked like it added some grass and stuff like that, and it's obviously made its implementation is
it added trees.
Yeah, there's some, like I thought it was grass, but it's trees.
They're like 3D trees. Like it actually generated the trees.
And I think it's tried to make different shapes for the buildings and put them in different orientations. So interesting. It definitely tried to make it more diverse.
So let's go down to street mode to see. Whoa, man!
That is actually really cool.
Okay, you can see the cars
going
zooming.
Can you
Wait, this guy's coming.
That's actually very good. Wait, can you move it around? Like if you like arrow keys or anything? Sure, does WASD or anything work? Oh, nice. Okay, so you can fully go through. I mean, obviously you're kind of clipping through.
Oh god, it sometimes struggles with the camera controls.
Yeah.
And it's backwards, so. But hey, I'm
zooming
through the city.
Zooming through a city.
Wait, who was that pink?
Yeah. There's a green one.
Are those people?
Oh, those might be the Find it.
Where's the guy?
Who knows? But
okay.
We're having a little bit too much fun. But like, very impressive. We're doing one more quick little test to be like, hey, can we open live graphs to see what's happening with the simulation state? But in general, if we want to click back, like when you compare them side by side, I do think o3-mini edges out on this one. It is actually, frankly, pretty impressive. It's really attached to a lot of the parts of the prompt we did. Jacob's point, it almost looks like this could be a mobile game. I'm like, wow, this is actually kind of like a city simulator, like, like SimCity, stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this is...
Yeah, it was SimCity until we went to street level, and then it was GTA.
Yeah, so, and this is just like, again, 1 or 2 shots. I mean, look, R1's still doing well to, like, keep up in a sense, but o3-mini has been... O3 is kind of the step change. It's actually really impressive what you can build with these things now. Whoa. So just as an extra, we did the, implement live graph. Kind of cool.
I would love to be able to see it model real concepts. Right now, it just seems to be like population up, economy up, everything's good. But still, cool, really cool. And this was one prompt. This was just me being like, hey, can we figure out what those pink dots are by asking for a graph? And yeah, we did.
Yeah. So very, very cool stuff, and we'll continue refining this prompt. Part of this video is, like Jacob said, introducing some new tests, so bear with us.
All right, let's move on to the next test, which is business reasoning. We are going to use the same prompt that we used for O3 because we haven't seen R1 do that yet, and so we'll get that set up, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, awesome. So got the prompt set up. This was the business reasoning task. The same as what we did for o3-mini. So we're giving it a long document about like some
DeepSeek and about O3. Yeah. It's kind of got a bunch of information about new models in there.
Yeah. And we're wanting it to kind of reason and make a report, including bringing charts, making Python so that we can actually render and see the charts. So the idea here is this could be like a real world task that someone might do, right? Like you might be told to go look at this information, synthesize it, novelly make some charts, and then present it. So that's what we're trying to emulate here. How does it work on like real business world tasks? So let's kick it off.
Yeah. O3-mini High came back first, and so we'll get that running.
We went ahead and rendered their outputs, and we went ahead and tried to verify some of the things that they did just to make sure. So let's start with o3-mini High. So that first one, performance versus inference cost, seemed directionally correct. So for this one, it's used the Arc AGI score, which is why you can see this like massive jump. When we looked at it, it looked pretty correct.
The one thing I would have said, I would have liked a log scale so that it doesn't look like these are all the same.
But then for the next one, it did do a log scale, which is more correct in terms of being able to make it a more smooth chart, which it should have done for the other one. However, when we took a look at the code, it's kind of made some stuff up in terms of it was trying to figure out Arc AGI and almost like reverse engineer it, right? Mm-hmm. Like it was saying. So it basically made like a equation that didn't make a lot of sense. It's very simplistic. To its credit, though, it did kind of find a relatively good relationship. Right?
Something to kind of fit the data. So when we went to try to verify it and say, on Arc AGI, O3, cost this much and then got this score, it was off, right? And the example, I think, was like we were looking for $20 or something like that. It got a score of near 70, and whereas this chart predicts closer to 50, 55. Yeah. It was sort of trying its hand at, can I be a genius analyst and come up with a function that fits this data? And it was impressive to see it get kind of close, but it's not like I'm going to use that function for predictive purposes or anything like that. Yeah. And then it's sort of analysis, right, was what we've seen in the past, was basically saying deploy DeepSeek R1 or R0 when cost matters, and then deploy the bigger models when cost doesn't. And then it talks about long-term strategy of having some sort of like a hybrid inference. So it's sort of similar to what we've seen so far, not really concrete recommendations, but interesting nonetheless, and seem to understand the data at least.
Yeah, 100%. Then switching over to DeepSeek. So first one, performance scaling with compute. It sort of made some stuff up here. Medium didn't exist for some of them, so it just kind of snapped, like for O3, just said, hey, medium equals high. So the next one, cost and performance projections. Also a similar thing. It's really just tried to fit the chart it has and make some kind of, closed model cost versus open model cost.
I don't know what this means. This one was hard to read.
A little bit hard to understand.
Which is part of the test here, is like, is it making something that's good, like an analyst would make? And this one, I don't think it is. We also had some issues with the last chart because, first of all, the circle of the dots is communicating the same information as the y-axis. And then it seems to have made up this, like, we have no idea where it got $2.50 per query for 4.0. We're not sure if that's even possible.
Yeah, I think it probably took the information about how much it is per million tokens, and it's added that.
It would need to be 250,000 tokens to get 250.
This one probably a little bit more of a slap in terms of it doesn't really make sense. Very confusing, made up numbers. However, the strategic recommendations were pretty interesting. Like, so much so that it actually gave concrete things to do. When you look at the investment strategy, it tried to be more prescriptive, which I actually like.
I really like this table of where it breaks down. Like, it makes this is something that we would make it work, right? It's like this. It's very easy to read. You're communicating some very specific information. And then the investment strategy, again, what we liked was that it was breaking down these, like, specific percents. Like, it was a very specific recommendation. In the next 6 months, you should put 70% of R1, R10, and then it has this breakdown of like 20% for o3-mini for high value scenarios, and then 10% for like experimental budget. I love that it included that. People forget about that sometimes. So anyways, I'm kind of split on this one, just in terms of like the coding and the ability to do sort of, a lot of the prompt was about making those charts. So I don't love the fact that it was dropping context here and making some stuff up. The charts on the left I thought were more interesting. And so for the real purpose of this test, maybe O3, but then I also really like the recommendations down here. I would be interested to see if we tweak the prompt to make it ask for more specific recommendations next time. But as with a lot of these business reasoning things, it's sort of subjective. So we'll try to get these open source to the viewers, and we're curious what you think on this test. Who's the winner?
Yeah, it's clear that reasons have different strengths, right? And part of the reason we administer these tests is to see which is better at what. Awesome. Well, then we're going to move on to our last test, which is agentic reasoning. We have done Tower of London on both of these. Check those videos. So we're trying a different test this time, which we will now set up.
Yep.
We're back. What we are doing is a variation of the Wisconsin card sorting test. We're making a bit of a tool to help kind of orchestrate it. But in this one, typically you would do a sorting, but for now we're trying to do a little bit easier to start, where you have some set of cards that have a value and color, and you have some validation rules. And what we want is for the models, given some kind of input, we want them to try and guess the rules that make things correct. So it's about figuring out what cards are correct, but also what links them. So what we're doing here is we have these different sets of cards, and the thing that we want it to try and figure out is the correct cards are basically even and one less than a multiple of 3. So it seems kind of arbitrary, but with these numbers, it should be able to kind of try and piece that together. Let's go ahead and kick these up.
So pulling this up so we have a reminder of what cards are correct.
Yeah.
So it made some basically random guess is how it always starts, right?
Yeah. So this time it just selected all the cards in red. So that is actually a kind of rational guess. But in this case, we will say that 2 of those cards are correct, but not all of them. It's actually trying to think through the rules that it previously had, the extra information. So this is how we're trying to prompt it to be a little bit more agentic. And now it's trying to say it's red and between 10 and 19.
Nope. So only one of those is correct.
So let's update that, and then we'll go back to DeepSeek. DeepSeek tried to infer the rules that they're even numbers and primary colors. So also kind of rational guess. Did select the right cards. It's also added a card. DeepSeek actually did get the first part of the rule correct, which is even numbers. And now we've updated it to say, hey, you guessed like the 3 cards correct, 1 is wrong. And now, again, we can see it's going through thinking tokens.
Checking in on O3.
It's actually starting to get closer to the rule, which is sum of digits is even, just like what it did with DeepSeek, it's now narrowing down. It's got the 4 blue, 40 red. It's got 2 purple and 15 red. So we can update to say 2 of those are correct. Okay, we updated O3, switching back to DeepSeek, and it's getting closer.
The number must be divisible by 4.
So this now is now really narrowing down to 2 rules are even and divisible by 4. Cool. So we updated it again based on the fact that the divisible by 4 rule is not correct. It knows the exact 3 cards it needs.
Well, it should know the exact 3 cards. So that's
Yeah.
what we want to check. So coming back to o3-mini, it seems it's still getting closer, but it still has that 2 purple in there. So we can tell it that it has 2 of the correct cards in its guess set.
Yeah.
DeepSeek is going.
Go for nearly 2 minutes.
Nearly 2 minutes.
The correct cards are 4 blue, 12. Even number excluded. So now we're getting to the point where the model's kind of forgetting the context it had.
It's crazy because it says it right here. You have 2 of the 3 cards.
And you'll guess it.
The 2 correct cards are.
Yeah.
So it reached the point where it needed to realize it had all the information to figure out what the correct cards were, and it fell apart.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of where DeepSeek was performing admirably, but it's lost the plot here.
Yeah.
And is starting to break the rules, and I don't know how much clearer I could be in the prompt. So I think this is where let's see if o3-mini can pull through here.
Yeah. o3-mini, I mean, to be fair, it is still remembering evenness is required.
It's doing this thing that R1 couldn't do, of saying, okay, based on the feedback, based on everything we've done so far, we know those 2 red cards are correct.
So o3-mini has actually devised what the right cards are, but not the rule. So it's actually from the feedback, it's now correctly intuiting it has to be these cards. And even if you go up, it was saying these are the even ones, and these are not the even ones, sort of thing.
It hasn't broken any rules or anything.
Hasn't broken any rules or anything. It's taking all the feedback. We're prompting o3-mini saying, propose a few options, just to see how close it gets. So it's gone through and proposed lots of interesting options, but unfortunately, we're going to cut it there. This has actually turned into more of a mind reading exercise. They are having such interesting attempts. Like as we scroll through o3-mini, it's like, oh, what if you change it to Roman numeral uniqueness?
And it keeps proposing correct options,
and it's
right?
Technically correct options. So actually, it was a problem with the test in that we thought of exactly one thing, but there were so many ways to put these cards together. So again, test problem, not a model problem. In terms of the models, they did pretty admirably. Again, test is hard, but I think it does edge out to o3-mini.
Of course, because DeepSeek, I mean, I think it's more than edge. DeepSeek had all the information to figure out what the right cards were and couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And as soon as o3-mini had all the information, at least to me, maybe some super smart model could have figured out faster, but once I saw that it had gotten all the information, it immediately figured out what the right cards were and then started guessing a plethora of correct rules.
Overall, still probably give it to o3-mini high. Again, DeepSeek is performing impressive for what it is, but I still think o3-mini high is a step up in intelligence. I don't know how you feel.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a step up. I mean, I saw DeepSeek did great on the business reasoning, I think maybe there's a rematch with specific prompts to see if it can do that, but the path that DeepSeek's reasoning took in this one instance seemed to lead to a better result, except for the fact that it was making up numbers. But for the other 2 tests, pretty clear winner for o3. That being said, this is sort of like a half-step model upgrade. The ball's in DeepSeek's court. What's going to be your o3 competitor?
Absolutely. So more tests on the way. We still have plenty to compare to. Please let us know how you found this. Let us know if you're still using DeepSeek R1 and o3-mini high. We're still a growing channel, so please feel free to like, follow, and subscribe. Otherwise, we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, wrap it up.